Okay, take a look at this picture on the screen here, and do you recognize that?
Yes, that's the old fire station in Hamilton, Montana, alongside the Freemasonry, the Masons Lodge in Hamilton.
Right. So a couple mornings ago, the morning after when this storm hit, my truck was down, so I had a little free time, and I was just walking around town, and I came back by these buildings, and as I got close to the Masonic building, I saw this, what would you call that, a plaque? Anyway, these stones that have the names of important people, maybe the lodge masters. And I got close, and under this stone that says Keepers of the Craft, Ionic Lodge number 38, it's got your Master Masons in different years. It goes way back. We have Master Mason in 1889, 1926, 66, etc. And then I saw a curious one that had no date on it. And Hiram Abiff, McCullough Master. Can you tell us a little bit about that, whatever you know?
Well, Hiram Abiff is the keeper of he's the Master Mason and keeper of the secrets of Master Masonry. As the story goes, as far as I understand, he was commissioned by Solomon to build the temple in Jerusalem.
So this is an actual historic person.
I believe it has a historic basis to it, yes. Well, he was the Master Mason and commissioned to build the temple, so he knew all the secrets. As the temple neared completion, 3 of the other Masons workers approached Hiram and asked him to give them the secrets that he knew, and that would put them in a better place as far as their employment. They could make more money and also know the higher secrets of Masonry. Well, he said, no, I can't give them to you. And so the 3 men, each man asked him, and he refused to give up the secrets. And so the men, they conspired to murder him, and each one struck him with a tool of masonry, and then the third one killed him. So to hide what they'd done, they took him outside the temple and did a shallow grave, and then they fled. Well, the next morning, of course, everyone missed Hiram because he wasn't there, and they stumbled.
The temple was under construction at this point.
It was almost completed.
Almost completed, yep.
And he wasn't there, and someone had stumbled. They had marked his shallow grave with a acacia branch. For that reason, I don't know why they did that too. But anyway, they discovered the grave and found that he'd been murdered. And also they did apprehend and found out who had killed him. So that story is reenacted in Masonic lodges, the way I understand it. I'm a son of, I had 2 grandfathers, and my dad were 32nd degree Masons. Of course, they didn't talk about it.
Did you ask them?
Yeah, I did. Really, the only response my dad ever gave me is, says, if I tell you, son, they'll slit my throat. So,
do you think he was serious?
He seemed serious. I don't know. I just don't know when it went on. He didn't talk about it. I never was invited to join. But I do know, just other friends over the years, that to become a 3rd degree Mason, you reenact the story of Hiram Abiff.
Really?
And the initiate pretends that he's Hiram Abiff, and through the ceremony he is approached by the 3 other Masons, lesser Masons, and threatened to give up the secrets. And of course he refused, and that they reenact that, and he's in this ceremony killed, buried, and then resurrected. And that's, of course, they have the sayings, and they have to, it's actually like a little play that you complete this part to become a 3rd degree Mason.
Now, this is not biblical, it's apocryphal, it's just an old, how do the Masons know about this? They must assume that they are in tune to some ancient knowledge that's not even in the Bible, I guess.
Well, my understanding is, of course, a lot of it is tied in with the Talmud, the Jewish Talmud, which was developed while the Jews were in exile in Babylon, and kind of a mixture of Babylonian idol worship and Judaism. So, and that's what I understand a lot of the ceremonies and philosophies of Masonry are based on.
So, do the modern Masons see themselves as sort of the sons of the killers of Hiram Abiff, or sons of Hiram Abiff himself? Because you said it was the Masons that killed him way back then, and today in the ceremony, the initiate becomes Abiff, and then the active members are doing the killing. Do they? I'm curious who they identify with.
Well, they identify with Hiram because he proved to not show fear, and a keeper of the secret. He did not give up the secrets. So it's a trait of integrity that they assign as you go through that part of going through the steps of Masonry, becoming a Mason.
Right. Now it seems like if they killed Abiff, he died with the secrets. So how did they manage to tap into the secrets themselves if they died with Abiff?
And that goes on further into Masonry. I don't know the story, but there are somehow that search for the lost secrets and how they're recovered. I don't know. I can't.
Okay. Well, interesting. That leads me to want to do a little bit more research on this Hiram Abiff. Now, you mentioned connection with the Talmud, and I've heard people say that Masonry is Talmudic Judaism for Protestants. Have you ever heard that, or does it ring true to you, or don't care to comment until you know more about it?
I don't know. I've heard that and been reinforced from other people that it has its basis in the Talmud.
And weren't a bunch of our founding fathers Masons?
They were. In fact, Washington, D.C. was laid out according to Masonic principles. And there's ties to the Masons to conspiracy and Illuminati. The Masons had their lodges throughout Europe, and it was a guild.
Yep.
Established as a guild, but then it became more than that. Most of your prominent people in communities joined Masonry because of connections and joining together, common minds, common place, and really became the upper echelon of communities. Back in the late 1700s, when Weishaupt, who started
Adam Weishaupt.
Weishaupt started the Illuminati. He saw, because that network was already established, he usurped that network and got his people in these lodges to spread his ideology, and which is the basis for communism. Get rid of the nation state, eliminate private property, chaos until they create a new order. But in North America, as I understand it, it didn't have the same influence. Probably till later, until Albert Pike established.
Late 19th century, right?
Yeah, well, in the 1870s.
Yeah. Pike. What do you know about Pike? Didn't he predict the two upcoming world wars, and then the Third World War? He predicted two that's supposed to come. Have you heard that?
He did, actually, in his writings. I'm trying to think the name of his book. I know people have probably heard of it. I can't think of the name of it right now. Yes, he did. He, in order to bring forth the world that had been prophesied through prophecies that they adhered to, there had to be this series of wars, 3 major world wars, to bring about this new world order that they were working towards.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I can't. Well, my understanding is that not all Masonic lodges are part of that. It's certain. There's a lot of different, like the Scottish Rite and different sects, I guess you'd call it,
Or branches of
it.
Yeah.
And so not all of them are part of conspiracy. It's.
Do you know any Masons personally in the valley here?
I do.
Yeah.
Actually, I know the current
Master
Grand Master. Yeah.
Would he be a 33rd?
No, he's working his way up. You don't have to be a. I don't guess you call him Grand Master, but he's the Master of the Lodge currently, and that's a position that that people, I guess, I'm not sure how he gets that, but they take on that position, and it's not a permanent position. It's like every couple of years or a year.
Right. Now, when you talk to him, do you think he senses that you have an understanding of the Masons, that you might see something a little bit nefarious?
We really I tried to talk to him a little bit about it and try to understand it more, because I've heard this and I've heard that, and that comment about what my father said, I mentioned that to him. I said, "What's that all about?" And he didn't elaborate.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Great guy. I mean, and I do know other Masons, and they're good men.
Sure.
It's
so we could say there's 2 kinds of Masons. There are the ones that are just upstanding citizens involved in a sort of a fellowship, fraternity of connections, and it's good for business and stuff like that, and the pancake breakfasts and all that. And then there's another set that, whatever agenda they have, at one point in our history in America, there was actually a political party called the Anti-Masonic Party. And maybe that part of the Masons are people that are working towards some, like I said, nefarious agenda.
Possibly. The other thing, I guess, would be critical of, and I saw that with my father and the fellow Masons, and most of the community, business people were Masons where I grew up. Mm-hmm. If another Mason, and this is the good part of it, needed help, my dad would help a fellow Mason before he'd help his own family. That's how devoted he was to it. But it's my understanding, business-wise, they get favor. Mm-hmm. Judicially, judges will, and I actually, I've seen things like that happen. The judges were Masons, and
easy on the Masons.
Easy on the Masons.
Up on the dock. Wow.
Yeah, so I think that. I think it compromises really just free enterprise and blind justice. I really do.
Right. Equality.
Equality, even on the level, if they're not involved nefariously. Sure.
Huh. Well, you've stimulated me to learn more about this Abiff and about the Masons in general, and I hope the listeners of this will be stimulated to do the same. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Dan.
Mm-hmm.